Family and Consumer Sciences Extension at the University of Kentucky. Our agents share research knowledge with individuals, families, and communities to improve quality of life. Building strong families, building Kentucky. It starts with us.
Hi, I'm Vicki Wynn, the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent from the Marshall County Extension Office. I'm with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension, and we are an arm of the University of Kentucky, bringing research information to every county in the state. And we have a county extension office in every county, and regardless of where you are in Kentucky, you can reach out to your extension office and ask for any of the resources that we're going to talk about today. And I would encourage you to visit them or give them a call and ask about any of the things that we talk about today as far as recipes. And especially, we're going to talk about the food and nutrition calendar. And I realize that this year is moving along probably not as fast as some would like, considering what all we've had to deal with this year. But 2020 has been a great year for the food and nutrition calendar, and I would just invite you to contact your extension office and request one. It not only is used as a calendar, but it has a lot more great information in it. So I wanted to go over some of the things that are inside the calendar. It has a lot of suggestions for physical activity, and we know that nutrition and physical activity go hand in hand to build strong families, and that's what we're all about, is helping families to learn what they can do to be healthy and stronger. And the physical activity tips that are in the calendar are very interesting and very neat and very pertinent to families today. There are links to recipe videos. So the recipes that are contained in the calendar has a link that you can go to, and it will show you step by step exactly how to pull that recipe together and make it for your family. It also has full-size recipe cards for each of the 12 recipes contained on this calendar, and those are at the back of the calendar. After you've used the calendar, you can take the recipes apart and file them away in a box or a notebook, and they're just a good resource to have for the future. In addition to that, there is also a guide to portion sizes. You know, sometimes we forget exactly what is an appropriate portion, and we have that information here as well. It tells us what counts as a cup of fruits or vegetables. So in our meal planning and in looking at our dietary requirements, it really is beneficial to have the calendar to help us as a reminder of that type of information. It also has measurements and substitutions. I know when I teach classes, especially with elementary and middle school children, I teach about measurement equivalents, and those things like 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon, and all of those measurements that are some fun math activities as well. But I've had so many children come back and tell me, you know what, I really have used that information that you taught about how to measure. And I think even as we get older, we have to recall those things. So I kind of liken it to the importance of learning your multiplication tables. Measurement equivalents are very, very pertinent and relevant to our lives today. So once you learn those, you never forget. And they do come in handy even as you become an adult. So all of these things are in the calendar. There's also a Kentucky Proud Produce Availability Chart. And you know, when you go to the grocery store or the farmer's market, sometimes we forget what's in season. Well, sometimes the price of the produce is sort of a telltale sign about whether or not it is in season. But we know that produce is going to be more affordable and more cost effective if it is in season. So there is a chart here that tells us right now apples are in season, and that's at the top of the list. They come in from July through December. So right now apples are a very good value at the grocery store. So that is definitely something that is helpful in our meal planning and knowing what we can expect to find at the grocery store when it's going to be on sale or when it's going to be more readily available. So we want to make sure that we are aware of which produce is available and when. This also contains a lot of the plated up Kentucky Proud recipes. And the plated up Kentucky Proud recipes here, I brought just a few, but right now there are over 100 of the plated up Kentucky Proud recipes. And this is a collaboration with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension, with the University of Kentucky Dietary Human Nutrition students, and just clientele who have input into the recipes that we've developed, and of course the Department of Agriculture with the Kentucky Proud produce that is available. So all of these things have gone into factoring the recipes before they're actually printed and released to the public. So they have gone through quite a process in that agents typically will submit recipes for the type of produce. We know what's coming up in the spring, or we know what's coming up in the fall. Which of the growing seasons has produce that we need to develop recipes for? So that's the first part of the process. We submit those recipes. Then students prepare those recipes and try to tweak some of them to make sure that they have ingredients that are readily available and that they are nutritious. And anytime they can lower the fat or the sodium content, they may make some substitutions. So it's important to go through this process to make sure that in the end result, we have developed the most efficient, the most nutritious product with these recipe cards. So the calendar itself has 12 recipes, and of course it started with January was a citrus chicken stir fry, and just some delicious recipes using fresh produce, and there's also some variations that you could substitute or make some additions depending on what your family likes. There's also a hearty comfort soup, and this one also has an ingredient spotlight, as does every recipe. And the ingredient spotlight for this recipe for hearty comfort soup is kale. And we know how the talk is about kale. It's a superfood. It is super nutritious, and it is super high in vitamins A, K, and C. So the calendar has really taken into consideration what foods are very nutritious and what foods are going to be available to us in produce and being able to make at home. So the breakfast hash has a spotlight on sweet potato, and it incorporates the sweet potato in with some eggs and some peppers, some breakfast sausage, and I mean, this would be a wonderful, wonderful meal to prepare for your family. And it also has the nutrition information and how much it costs to prepare the recipe. So a lot of good information is contained in the calendar. The turkey stuffed peppers, and just a beautiful picture there of the green, yellow, orange, and red peppers. The variety is just so pleasing to the eye and also to the palate, and a very economical meal to prepare. And of course, peppers are the spotlight food in this recipe. We also have one on lettuce wraps, and a lot of people tell us they're trying to cut back on their consumption of bread, or trying to find alternatives with meals that don't contain bread. So this one has a very healthy recipe using ground beef and shredded carrots, water chestnuts for crunch, and all the recipes have really tried to find a good balance with texture and color and just the overall quality. So, and in fact, the ingredient spotlight in this one is mushrooms. So you might not have thought before about putting mushrooms in lettuce wraps, but definitely a tasty recipe and one that has readily available produce included. Now this one is a favorite of so many. It's the puff pancake. And who doesn't like a pancake with blueberries and strawberries added? And this one has, of course, the spotlight is on the strawberries, but it talks about how to make a puff pancake, which is a little bit different than what we would consider a traditional pancake. But I encourage you to request one of the calendars so that you can enjoy all of these recipes that are listed. The summer garden pie was last month's recipe, and it spotlights zucchini. And I had to laugh because last month there was hide zucchini on your neighbor's porch day, because if anybody has a garden and they grow zucchini, we know how fast it matures and how large it can grow, and we want to share those with everybody. So there are lots of good recipes out there using zucchini, but this one is for the summer garden pie that also contains some zucchini, some corn, and some spices that make it just extremely tasty. So that is last month's recipe, and it also has the link to the video to show you exactly how to put that recipe together. And a lot of the food prep techniques and a lot of the recipe measurements and such are on the video as well. Now this is August, and of course we're talking a shrimp burrito bowl. Bowls have become so popular in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say, and it can just be an endless amount or variety of things that you enjoy putting into a bowl. The shrimp burrito bowl, of course, contains corn, onions, rice, black beans, some avocado, and some shrimp, but you could substitute another protein as well. You could even put fish, chicken, beef, or pork. You could just make it whatever would suit your family's taste with that. And the spotlight is on avocado with this one. So it definitely is a very eye-appealing dish. And again, you can substitute to make it whatever your family enjoys. Having the small individual containers to put in the refrigerator, you can go ahead and prep this one ahead of time and then put it together at the last minute. So it's definitely a time saver if you can do some of the pre-preparation ahead of time. And as we move on to September, this one is pulled pork autumn salad. Now I know where we live, pulled pork is just about anywhere you go. You can find a restaurant, you can find someone that serves pulled pork, and they're more than happy to sell you some to use in other dishes that you may make at home. So this one is very tasty. It's got apples in it, it's got apple cider vinegar in it, it's got a little honey and mustard. So it's really a very simple recipe to put together and very tasty as well. For October, it is a variation on a grilled cheese sandwich, and it's an apple grilled cheese. And of course, October is at the peak of apple season, so there are so many flavorful apples available in the grocery store and at the farmers markets. So this one, the apple grilled cheese, and would you believe that the spotlight ingredient on this one is spinach. So we've got such a great combination. We have such nutritious ingredients that can pull this one together, and I think your family would really enjoy a variation on a traditional grilled cheese sandwich. In November, we have the eggplant pasta bake, and a lot of people are growing eggplant, and they will call and say, I've got all this eggplant, but I don't know what to do with it. So this is a great recipe in November that spotlights the eggplant, and it combines it with pasta. It has Italian seasoning and mozzarella cheese. So a very flavorful recipe that people who say, I'm not sure that I like eggplant, but you know what? I think they really would enjoy this recipe that includes the pasta and the cheese and the spices to give it just a little bit of extra flavor. I bet they would really enjoy that. And then December, we come to the last month, and it is the broccoli cheddar biscuits. So this is something that you might not think of putting those two things together in a biscuit. But let me tell you, it really makes for a flavorful bread to go with your meals. And of course, the spotlight on this one is broccoli. And your children who say, I don't like broccoli, I just don't think I would enjoy broccoli, I bet they would enjoy these biscuits because it has some cheese, cheddar cheese in it, it has the broccoli, it has some shredded carrots. So it almost would be a dessert. It tastes so good, you might fool them into thinking that it is a dessert. So I think anyone would enjoy the variation on those biscuits. I want to show you how the recipes look in our calendar, and they're full-size recipe cards. You have all the instructions on the back of each one. So they're actually in the center of the calendar, so whenever you would like to remove those and file those away or put them in a notebook, they're just so handy to have because they have all the ingredients, they have the nutrition information on there, they have how much it costs to prepare, and it would be handy just to take that with you to the grocery store and purchase all of the items that you need for putting together that recipe. And then at the back of the calendar, this is something we might not want to know too much about, but it's there, and it's how much activity is needed to burn calories from your favorite food. And sometimes when we eat something that we know we probably shouldn't, we're thinking, now I wonder how much activity I would have to do to burn those calories that I just ate. So I won't talk about all of them, but one of them is a large order of fries. And it says that we would have to mow the yard for 1.5 hours with a push mower. So the next time that you're thinking about eating a large order of fries, you think, would I be willing to push mow my lawn for 1.5 hours just to burn those calories? So sometimes it puts it in perspective, and it really helps us to see that sometimes there might be a better choice or a better option available to us. Now, if you are not interested in a calendar, but you would still like the information from the recipes, every extension office has printable copies of the recipes in a full sheet. So you may ask for these, you may ask for the calendar, and like I said, even though the year is fleeting by, we still have calendars available in the extension office, and more than happy for you to come by or to call and ask for one. We could drop that in the mail to you, or we would be glad to have you stop by and pick one up. But the information that we've shared today comes from your local cooperative extension office, and there is one in each and every county. And until next time, thank you for joining us today.